Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Bodacious Rant with Burn and Rye. I hope everybody's holiday season's going well. Hope everybody's getting ready for, the big Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Or if you don't celebrate, then feel free to check out some movies at the theaters. Because unfortunately, for the workers, they are still open. But there is one movie I think you would be worth the watch on Christmas, and that is the third movie from the acclaimed director of James Cameron. Not the third ever, but the third in this franchise, which is Avatar: Fire and Ash, which is the threequel to Way of Water in 2022, which is crazy to believe, and the first one, Avatar, in 2009. And this is a spoiler-free review, so we're not going to really get into it too much for everybody, just because I want you all to see it. So feel free to give us a thumbs up if you did like the video, you like listening and watching me and Burn, and of course if you like the movie, and also don't forget to ring the bell for notifications, and of course subscribe. We do appreciate you all for that, so thank you so much. So yeah, the Fire and Ash takes place directly after Way of Water, in which Jake Sully, played by Sam Worthington, and Neytiri, played by Zoe Saldana, and their family essentially are dealing with the mourning of their eldest son, Neteyam, from the last movie, spoiler alert, and they're just trying to navigate, how they deal with grief, but also the new challenges and stuff that the humans on Pandora are causing them and creating for them, essentially. So, Way of Water was a very anticipated movie, and I would say this is anticipated as well. With that being said, though, I think it's not the strongest movie of this franchise so far. Still quite the spectacle, but there was some stuff lacking. But Bern, how did you feel about this one? Were you really looking forward to it like I was? Like, what were you thinking?
I think I would second your sentiment there, where it did feel a little bit lacking as a whole. I mean, I think to go into the positives here, I think what worked in the last movie still works here, and I think that's very much so the world of Pandora, the visuals and all the things that we see in here. Again, it's one of those things where you have to remind yourself what I'm looking at is not real, and it's like it's such a great effect that's continued from the first movie up in here till the third one, where this world feels fully realized, it feels lived in, and it feels like a living, breathing ecosystem, which is what you would want for a sci-fi fantasy movie like this, to really make you feel like you're immersed in this world, and that's no different in here. And I think the areas where they do sort of expand on either the creatures you see or the sort of the ecology you see was really cool, and things I really did enjoy. I do think Sam Worthington and Zoe Saldana here are just as great as they were in the last movie. I think Zoe Saldana continues to give one of the better performances of her career in this character, and I think the way that James Cameron writes her and the way that she performs it, she feels like such a fully realized CG character, who I would put up there with some characters like Gollum and Caesar from the Planet of the Apes movies, where this is like a fully embodied performance, and I think she does a really good job here, and she certainly has a lot to work with, and I think that's where this movie sort of is a little bit better than the last couple, where it feels like the emotional depth, and it feels like the thematics that are darker in this time around are a little bit more interesting. I think in the third movie you kind of have to give these characters a little bit more to deal with, and certainly picking up from where the last movie left off, I thought they handled that pretty well, and giving a lot of bit more complexity to these characters, and again a little bit of a darker edge to them that I think we didn't get in the last few movies. So I was certainly entertained by all that. That being said, there's this part of this movie that I feel was very much what I wanted to see more of, and I felt was lacking, and that was with the Fire Tribe that we got here. In every movie, we sort of explored a different side of Pandora through different clans of these Na'vis. And I think Una Chaplin as the main Na'vi there of Varang, I think she did a really good job, and I think her interactions with Korch were some of my favorites throughout the movie. But unfortunately, that everything else left me a little bit wanting. I feel like we didn't explore this group as much as I feel like we should have, and I feel like I didn't understand these characters as much as I would have liked. I didn't see their traditions, I didn't see their customs, I didn't really learn too much about them. And in a 3 hour and 20 minute movie, it feels like that was a lot of time wasted there. If I'm in the third act still wondering what these characters and their motivations are, so that left me a little bit disappointed and wanting to learn more about them and not really getting much. And when instead what we got felt like a lot of repeated beats and storylines from the last movie. James Cameron has talked a lot of in his interviews about the Way of Water being too big and being having to split up, and what ended up being the third movie were things that were taken out from there. And I feel like you can really see that with where this movie sort of goes and where what we see, particularly in the third act, which left me a little bit disappointed because usually the third act of these movies are the most exciting. But here it felt like a lot of things that I had already seen before. So yeah, there was a lot of those things for me that sort of left me scratching my head and wondering how did they not see this, with it being not too far from the last movie. It's only been a couple years. How they just couldn't have seen this coming, where it feels like, yeah, the second movie already got a little bit of criticism of feeling like a repeat of the first one, and certainly I can agree to some extent, but from this one to the last one, I 100% agree with those sentiments, that it feels like we're in already charted territory, and it feels like in a movie that's this long and as big as this is, we should have gotten a little bit more new here.
Yeah, and I just feel like this one, it's like we didn't get enough of, it's like we didn't get enough of like exploring different parts of Pandora, but then we also got so much story tried to get crammed in here that it was just I felt like it was, you could definitely see it was a struggle to combine all these things and to make it one cohesive story. And the third act definitely felt like it was sped up. That's all I'm going to say without spoiling it. I agree with you that it would have been nice to see more of like the couple other cultures we got exposed to, particularly the Fire Clan in this movie. And yeah, it's that's the thing with these three movies. They repeat a lot of the same beats so far. So I mean, there is talks that he has 4 and 5 already kind of planned out for the most part, but it's all banking on this movie and how it does financially well. So I'm 50-50 on it, to be honest. The more I think about it, like, I would want to see the story completed. I want to see 4 and 5 happen. I really like this franchise, but at the same time, if he really doesn't have much else to go off of, or if it's going to be another couple movies repeating the same beats, it's like, what was the point of continuing this story then, in my opinion? So with all that being said, I still really enjoyed it. I think this is one of the cinematic experiences of the year, just visually and just, action wise and stuff. It was a lot of fun. Still very solid storytelling. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 still, just because, again, I'm a little biased because I love the franchise, but I think that it's more on the weaker side of the 4. This was almost a 3 just because it definitely felt like it was lacking some things that help make this feel like a more fleshed out story and not just feel like a bad sandwich put together, really. Still highly recommend it, but it's definitely going to be one, if you're not so much a fan of this one, you're going to probably want to watch at least the last one to see if it's worth it for you, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of a cinematic experience, this still has all the bells and whistles that you would expect from a James Cameron production. Again, the visuals here are great. The music and the sound design are all like really immersive. Again, the 3D continues to be one of the shining things of this franchise that every other movie in the world seems to not get right. So this certainly has that in its corner. And again, these characters are fun and interesting, and the world is fun to exist in. And there are certainly some moments here in this movie in particular, especially character moments here, that I feel are really, really strong, and I feel like are some of the best in this trilogy so far. It's just the package as a whole, in terms of the things that I'm looking forward for in these things, that we're in the third movie, and I feel like the story progression does feel a standstill. It feels like where this movie ends is no different than where the last movie ended. And for me to recommend that to somebody, again, it being a nearly 3.5 hour movie, It's just a little bit hard this time around, where it feels like the last one was an eager go check this out right away. This one I have a little bit more hesitancy, where it's like, if you aren't a fan of this franchise, if you're not really like, if you're looking for something more than just another fun time around, this might not particularly scratch that itch, and a lot of the times it didn't scratch that itch for me. So it pains me to say, but I think I'm gonna have to give this one a 2 out of 5. I was a little bit higher on it coming out of the theater, but the more I think about it, the more this movie sits with me, the most frustrating it gets, and that's a little bit disappointing to come out of it. But if those themes feel like they don't bother you, and you're just going in to sort of escape, then this one will certainly do that for you. But if you're looking for something a little bit more than that, you might leave a little bit disappointed, like I did.
Totally fair. Did not see that score coming, Burn, but it's all good, my dude. You know, that's good. We got to think on. I mean, it's good that these movies, at least a movie like this, will make you think on it. So, yeah. So 4 out of 5 for me, 2 out of 5 for Burn. So for those of you who did happen to catch it this weekend, feel free to let us know what you thought of it. Yeah, and like I said, I hope everybody has a great Christmas or just great week in general, you know, for those who have work off or anything like that. Much love to all of you, and good, you know, good seasons, tidings, whatever it is. Until next time, everyone, stay bodacious and keep on ranting for us.
Absolutely, everybody. Be good, be safe, and as always, we'll catch y'all on the next one.